to start with a motion to adopt the minutes of our regular meeting held on Wednesday, January 31st, 2018.
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much. We may proceed with the chair's report.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
It's wonderful to be here. I am thrilled that we are welcoming our new acting general manager, Vito Massachulo, to our team this week. I think it's his third official day. And so I want to welcome Vito. For those of you who have not gotten a chance to meet him, you will over the course of the next several days. Vito is uniquely qualified to join our team, and I think, as many of you know, Vito was served at HPD as the deputy commissioner for the Office of Enforcement and Neighborhood Services, managing a staff of approximately 1,000 people, responsible for assuring owner compliance with the New York City Housing Maintenance Code and other relevant state and local and federal laws. Mr. Massachulo has held a variety of operational positions in the divisions of maintenance, relocation services, and demolition before his appointment as the Assistant Commissioner for Code Enforcement. In 2001, he was promoted to the Associate Commissioner for Enforcement Services and played a critical role in drafting and implementing the 2004 Local Law 1, the city's chief ordinance for lead testing and remediation. In 2008, Vito received the prestigious Sloan Public Service Award for service to the city of New York. I also know he received the Jim Rouse Award from Enterprise Community Partners in 2005, I believe, 6. And so, all incredibly well deserved, and we are thrilled to welcome him, the operational expertise and experience that he brings to his role as general manager, and we look forward to working with him. I look forward to working with him. We decided to give him a little bit of time and not expect a general manager's report this morning, given it's his third official day. But you want to welcome him, and if you'd like to share, please feel free to.
Thank you very much. Thank you for those kind and embarrassing words. So as the chair mentioned, my career in public service spans over 35 years. This is a new chapter in my life in public service. And although this is my official third day, I have spent the last few weeks probably spending about 70% of my time at NYCHA, 30% of my time at HPD during the transition period. And I have to say that I am extremely impressed with NYCHA at every level, whether it be the support staff behind the scenes or the frontline staff, the public face of NYCHA. There is a commitment and a level of public service that is unequaled. And I commend the chair for her leadership. I think she has done an amazing job over the last 4 years, and I look forward to working with all of you for as long as I am here. With 36 years, it's hard to say how long. But again, I am absolutely thrilled and honored to be here and moving forward. Right? There's work to be done. There's absolutely nothing broken that I have seen, but there's certainly room for improvement. And I think that's a goal that we all strive for. And so again, thank you very much for being here. Thank you again for the kind words and to the board. I look forward to working with each and every one of you. Again. Again.
Excellent, thank you. So we'll jump right into our report, my report. So at the end of at the beginning of the year, actually we released a year-end report on our FEMA activities to date, which included the construction completion at several of our Sandy damaged sites, including the Lower East Side rehab. And I think this is a great photo of I believe, backup generator power being loaded onto the roofs of some of our buildings on the Lower East Side, really making it one of the first of several of our properties that will have sustained backup power, which was a key recommendation coming out of the work following Hurricane Sandy. So this is a really important milestone for the project. We also launched our community outreach team, which I would say is a building on the work of the resident engagement and outreach to those residents living in Sandy affected developments. And for all of the 35 or so sites, there's work that is ongoing, and there are additional sites that will break ground later this summer. We are a little known program here at NYCHA, which is our ongoing next generation development work. We continue to partner with our colleagues at HPD and HDC in the 100% affordable program, and that work continues. We recently selected developers for, I believe, 3 100% affordable projects. One of them here is featured the Sumner houses, which will be, I believe, senior housing there at Sumner in Brooklyn. And we also, as many of you know, NYCHA still has a legacy portfolio of vacant homes that we inherited, the FHA Vacant Homes Program. Pleased to say that several of those homes have been disposed of to our nonprofit partners and actually are ending up in new homeowners' hands that will be taking on becoming first-time homeowners, many of whom are NYCHA residents, which is soon to be formerly NYCHA residents. So a sort of smaller part of our ongoing real estate work, but an important part nonetheless. There is also, I think, again, continued work on the 100% affordable program. Several of us finally welcomed the opening of the Red Hook the Red Hook Senior Center, which was significantly damaged in Hurricane Sandy. And it was a long time coming, but we're thrilled to do that with Congresswoman Velasquez and several other, I can't see that far in terms of who's in the photo, but there were a number of the local electeds who have been incredibly supportive of really getting that that heart of that community back open and programming restarted for the seniors in that community. We also welcomed and graduated another group of residents who completed the Pathways to Apprenticeship program. This is something that we started again as a commitment to ensuring that residents have access to the economic opportunities provided by the work as it relates to the ongoing Sandy recovery program. This is an ongoing effort, and these are 21 additional graduates that will participate in not only at work at Sandy affected developments, but in projects across the city. Many of you know last year we launched a year and a half ago, we launched our Youth Leadership Councils. These are 15 councils across the city led by youth who live in NYCHA. There are about 150 of them. I have literally run with them. They challenged me to a Brooklyn fun run, which was a lot of fun. But we recently welcomed a sponsorship and the receipt of free tablets from our partner at T-Mobile for the members of the Youth Council to assist in their ongoing education and really helping to bridge that digital divide that still exists in too many of our communities. So that's really exciting work. And I just heard that they want to do another fun run. So I'm getting my shoes ready for the spring. So that'll be fun. And this was a really fantastic event that was not only a part of our Youth Leadership Council, but I think there were young people from really all over the city. It was our first speed networking, our speed mentoring event. And we had staff, NYCHA staff up and down the organization who literally did what, as it sounds like, sort of like a speed dating, but mentoring opportunity with young people that was led and coordinated by our colleagues in the community engagement program. I want to thank Sadia Sherman and her team for pulling this off. I've heard from all of the staff and some of the young people. It was a really great opportunity to learn about interview skills, presentation skills, et cetera. And so we hope to do more of these going forward. So lots of work in ongoing engagement with folks who are most important to us, which are our residents, and a lot of work happening across our portfolio as we continue to push out the investment that is so desperately needed. And so with that, that is my report. I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have. Okay, hearing none, we will move on to our calendar. Thank you.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Deborah Goddard, I have 2 votes for you this morning. First one, item number 1 is the recommendation to award a contract for roofing replacement and rooftop structure renovation at Sedgwick Houses. This is part of the mayor's roofing initiative. We recommend the award to Zoria Housing in the amount of a little over $9 million. Zoria is minority owned. They've done a lot of work with us. Their VNC is pending, so this award is not final until that is cleared. We're working with DOI and OIG on that. They are proposing 4 Section 3 hires. The second item is recommendation to award a contract in connection with the restoration of Sandy recovery work at Baruch and Lavenberg. WDF is the low bidder. The contract is in the amount of over $172 million. This will provide for restoration work at Baruch houses, buildings 1 through 5, 7 through 9, and 15, as well as the single building at Lavenberg. As you know, we can only touch those things that FEMA has determined were touched by Sandy. That's why not all of the property will be addressed. This will be new standby gas engine generators, replacement of mechanical, electrical, and plumbing systems, renovations to entrance areas to mitigate flood hazards. WDF has performed 3 projects with us satisfactorily as a prime contractor. Their VNC is pending as well, so this contract is conditioned upon getting a satisfactory clearance. Their bid was 17% higher than our estimate. We've localized that to the mechanical scope. All 3 bidders were in the same range, so we think our estimator was low in that regard, and therefore we find their proposal reasonable. They are recommending 30 Section 3 hires. That's it for capital today. Thank you.
Okay.
Good morning. My name is Cal Bruno. I'm the Director of the Department of Management Planning within Operations, and I'm going to be presenting items 3 through 27 today. For general information, items 3 through 6, we're requesting to amend to existing contracts to include a 2-hour response to plumbing emergencies and/or the requirement to provide materials for plumbing services. These are ratifications because they were utilized during the heat emergency response period. For items 7 through 27, we're requesting authorizations for change order on items on existing requirement contracts that are part of our 2018 contract forecasting plan. We are increasing these contracts to provide interim capacity that will allow us to start authorizing vendor work against our 2018 contract budget while a replacement contract is procured. This is an interim step as part of our 2018 contract forecasting plan. If there aren't any questions, I'll go. Yes.
I have one, particularly for item 22.
Okay.
That's for American Security.
Mhm.
Okay, so they're working on the intercom systems in Queens and Staten Island. Will this in any way affect the developments that have layered access? Are they going to work in conjunction, or is this a separate issue than the layered access?
Right.
What is?
They're separate. There's a contract for layered access that's different for this. These are for developments within Queens and Staten Island that do not have a layered access. They have the old intercom system that we repair using a vendor.
And are we looking to upgrade that, or this is the upgrade?
This is for these to make sure the existing system is operational. I don't have information on what the next layered access plans are, but there's something I could check and get back to you on.
Okay, thank you.
But this is to make sure the existing ones is operating using a vendor. That's how we repair this work.
Board Member Gonzalez, as you know, with the layered access and new doors and cameras, we really work closely with our colleagues in the City Council to help identify need and then the necessary city capital funding for those kinds of improvements. So if you have specific questions about developments in Brooklyn and Queens, I'm sure that there actually is a schedule and we can follow up with you on that.
Okay, thank you.
Let's go back to.
Yeah, so now I'm going to go through the specifics for items 3 through 27, okay?
Great.
So item 3 is with VC Vitanza, Sons Incorporated. It covers various Bronx developments. The amount is $567,939. Authorization is requested to ratify a change order to this requirement contract awarded to VC Vitanza in order to fund the continued provision of services and additional requirement to provide materials for all plumbing services during the initial 2-year term. Item 4 is also VC Vitanza and Sons. It covers various Manhattan developments. The amount is $576,326. Authorization is requested to ratify a change order to this requirement contract awarded to VC Vitanza for plumbing services in order to fund the continued provision of services and additional requirement to provide materials for all plumbing services during the initial 2-year term. Item 5. Vendor is RJ Bruno Incorporated. It covers various Brooklyn developments. Authorization is requested to ratify a change order to this requirement contract awarded to RJ Bruno Incorporated in order to fund the continued provisions of services, additional assigned work to respond to plumbing emergencies within a 2-hour period, and additional requirement to provide materials for all plumbing services during the initial 2-year term.
Mr. Bruno, can I just ask you just one gating question,
Yes.
right? So just so that everyone understands. So these are interim contracts while we release the bid, the RFPs or Qs for the broader NYCHA contracts, because these all expire May 2018.
Right. These are during the initial 2-year period.
Right.
However, there is a 1-year extension on all
Okay.
these contracts.
Right.
Right? These were utilized during the heat emergency.
Okay.
We thought there was a need that if, depending on what exactly service we needed, that the existing contract did not provide emergency response
Okay.
and or include supplies in the repair. So we added this provision to deal with that emergency. We are working on a replacement contract, which we're going to incorporate those line items in the replacement. But should that replacement not be available when this 2-year term expires,
Right.
we have the provision for a 1-year extension.
Okay. And so then the next question is, if you are planning to have the replacement contract, those would need to come to the board in April and or May, or you were going to use the 1-year extension?
Well, we would, depending on where we are with the award of the replacement, we would
Right.
use the 1-year or go straight to the replacement. But yes, if the replacement contracts are, due to be awarded in May, then we would go straight to using the replacement contract. We wouldn't necessarily use the 1-year extension since the replacement contracts have the provisions that we've added.
Okay. I'm going to reserve my right to ask another question.
Okay.
I have one question that I think pertains to several of these. So are these, the text of these, it says that the supervisor shall, I understand these are requirement contracts, so we use them when needed. And it says that the supervisor shall request a quote from RJ Bruno or whomever and the other vendors. Is that because these are part of this is in one of the decentralized or the new property management system? I'm forgetting the name of it.
No.
Okay.
These contracts are for labor hours, so they're not specific line items because it's impossible to capture every possible item you could need to do for either plumbing or heating repair. So because they're labor hours, right, you really need to get a quote to measure against your estimate if their quote is within those hours. And then only at that time would you authorize that work and or discuss the difference with the vendor. So we have a job that we need. The vendor will come out and say, no, this is the scope of work that you wanted. It's 15 labor hours. we would say that's within our estimate or at our estimate, and then we would authorize the work. But there isn't specific line items that say, do this work like typical requirement contracts, because there's so many possibilities, it was impossible to list them all.
So my question is, I guess, more about procedural. Is this the localized property manager that's seeking the quote, or is this central office?
It's either heating department, if
Yeah,
they need it for heating purpose,
centralized.
or it could be the local development if it's a plumbing repair that the development's going to request. Either or could use this contract.
I see. And so in the case where it's a local property manager who's seeking the quote, what point of reference do they have to understand whether it's a good quote or bad quote, that it's competitive?
Right. Well, they would start with an estimate, either using their plumbing supervisors,
Yeah.
using our tech resource advisor to look at the work. If we had to have done this work with our own staff, how many hours, what do we think the labor is involved, and use that as a basis to
So they rely, they seek
either
the
their
help
own
of
experience or their
right. skilled
skilled trades experts,
Okay,
either locally or in tech resource advisor within technical services.
okay, got it. Thank you.
So going to item 6. Is also RJ Bruno is the vendor. It's various developments citywide. The amount is $199,335. Authorization is requested to ratify a change order to this requirement contract awarded to RJ Bruno in order to fund the continued provision of services, additional assigned work to respond to plumbing emergencies within 2 hours, and additional requirement to provide materials for all plumbing services during the initial 2-year term. Now, for items 7 through 27, this is the existing requirement contracts. We're doing change orders in order to kickstart our 2018 contract forecasting plan. So this is adding limit to existing contracts so we could spend down our plan. Max Builders is item 7. He's got various Brooklyn developments. The amount is $177,722. Authorization is requested to approve a change order to this requirement contract awarded to Max Builders for asphalt pavement repairs in order to fund the continued provision of services during the remainder of the initial 2-year term. Item 8 is also Max Builders. It's various Bronx developments. The amount is $204,680. Authorization is requested to approve a change order to this requirement contract awarded to Max Builders for asphalt pavement repairs in order to fund the continued provision of services during the remainder of the 1-year renewal option. Item 9, Max Builders, various Manhattan developments. Amount is $53,146. Authorization is requested to approve a change order to this requirement contract in order to award it to Max Builders for asphalt pavement repairs in order to fund the continued provision of services during the remainder of the 1-year renewal option. Item 10, the vendor is Max Builders. It's various Queens and Staten Island developments. The amount is $264,653. Authorization is requested to approve a change order to this requirement contract awarded to Max Builders for asphalt pavement repairs in order to fund the continued provision of services during the remainder of the initial 2-year term. Item 11 is earthlink general construction. It covers various Brooklyn developments. The amount is $236,964. Authorization is requested to approve a change order to this requirement contract awarded to earthlink general construction for the installation of bathtub wall surrounds in order to fund the continued provision of services during the remainder of the 1-year renewal option. Item 12 is Matrix Construction. It covers various Bronx developments. The amount is $826,653. Authorization is requested to approve a change order to this requirement contract awarded to Matrix Construction for the installation of bathtub wall surrounds in order to fund the continued provision of services during the remainder of the initial 2-year term. Item 13, Bloom Construction Incorporated, covers various Manhattan developments. The amount is $973,674. Authorization is requested to approve a change order to this requirement contract awarded to Bloom Construction for the installation of bathtub wall surrounds in order to fund the continued provision of services during the remainder of the one-year renewal option. Item 14, Mount Olympus Restoration, covers various Manhattan developments. The amount is $548,340. Authorization is requested to approve a change order to this requirement contract awarded to Mount Olympus Restoration for labor-only general carpentry work in order to fund the continual provisions of services during the remainder of the initial two-year term. Item 15 is Mount Olympus Restoration, covers various Bronx developments. The amount is $651,374. Authorization is requested to approve a change order to this requirement contract awarded to Mount Olympus Restoration for labor-only general carpentry work in order to fund the continued provisions of services during the remainder of the initial two-year term. Item 16, Air Round Construction Corp. And it covers various Brooklyn developments. The amount is $433,104. Authorization is requested to approve a change order to this requirement contract awarded to Air Round Construction Corp. for repairs in order to fund the continued provision of services during the remainder of the one-year renewal option. Item 17 is Air Round Construction Corporation. It covers various Bronx developments. The amount is $648,000. Authorization is requested to approve a change order to this requirement contract awarded to Air Round Construction Corporation for concrete pavement repairs in order to fund the continued provisions of services during the remainder of the one-year renewal option. Item 18, Max Builders Incorporated, various Manhattan developments. The amount is $626,229. Authorization is requested to approve a change order to this requirement contract awarded to Max Builders for concrete pavement repairs in order to fund the continued provision of services during the remainder of the initial two-year term. Item 19, BMP General Construction. It covers various Queens and Staten Island developments. The amount is $683,398. Authorization is requested to approve a change order to this requirement contract awarded to BNP General Construction for concrete pavement repairs in order to fund the continued provisions of services during the remainder of the initial two-year term. Item 20, EIA Datacom, covers various Bronx developments. The amount is $212,500. Authorization is requested to approve a change order to this requirement contract awarded to EIA Datacom for general electric work in order to fund the continued provisions of services during the remainder of the one-year renewal option. Item 21, Matrix Construction Incorporated, covers various Bronx developments. The amount is $718,660. Authorization is requested to approve a change order to this requirement contract awarded to Matrix Construction for repair and replacement of exterior light fixtures in order to fund the continued provision of services during the remainder of the initial two-year term.
Mr. Bruno, on this one, these are not our new lights. These are the legacy lights, correct?
Right, these are the existing exterior lights.
And are they replacing them with LED bulbs, or is this?
I'm not sure the exact replacement. We could check the contract and get back on that.
It would be good if they could. I'm wondering if there's a load issue of some kind. If there's some reason why we can't replace them with LED, even if they're in the old fixtures.
Right.
But if we could, that would be a good thing.
Sure, I'll check on that.
Thank you.
Item 22, American Security Operating Company. Contract covers various Queens and Staten Island developments. The amount is $469,175. Authorization is requested to approve a change order to this requirement contract awarded to American Security Operating Company for service of intercom systems in order to fund the continued provision of services during the remainder of the initial 2-year term. Item 23, Mahi Painting Incorporated, various Brooklyn developments. The amount is $2,086,824. Authorization is requested to approve a change order to this requirement contract awarded to Mahi Painting for plaster restoration in order to fund the continued provision of services during the remainder of the initial 2-year term. Item 24, Bali Construction, covers various Bronx developments. The amount is $355,402. Authorization is requested to approve a change order to this requirement contract awarded to Bali Construction for sewer rotting in order to fund the continued provision of services during the remainder of the initial 2-year term. Item number 25, Dirty Gloves Drain Services. Contract covers various Bronx developments. The amount is $418,563. Authorization is requested to approve a change order to this requirement contract awarded to Dirty Glove Drain Services for sewer rotting in order to fund the continued provision of services during the remainder of the initial 2-year term. Yes.
Dirty Gloves is for Queens and Staten Island, is that correct?
I'm seeing various Bronx developments. Number 25, let me just check here. Okay.
Queens and Staten
It
Island.
is, okay. Yeah, it's Queen Staten Island.
Okay.
Sorry. Okay. '26, DHM Land Care Incorporated. Contract covers various Queens and Staten Island developments. The amount is $316,044. Authorization is requested to approve a change order to this requirement contract awarded to THM Land Care for tree pruning and crown reduction in order to fund the continued provision of services during the remainder of the initial 2-year term. And the last item, item 27, also with THM Land Care. It covers various Bronx developments. The amount is $167,695. Authorization is requested to approve the change order to this requirement contract awarded to THM Land Care for tree removal, stump removal, and pruning in order to fund the continued provision of services during the remainder of the initial 2-year term. Yes.
In all these change orders, whether it's requirement contracts or not, the extra funds that are being requested is merely to fund the, as you stated, the current jobs that are being done at these various developments. It doesn't necessarily mean that they're getting more work. Was there ever a change in the amount of work being done as they were working through the system? Did something come up that we did not foresee and there would be extra help? And the reason that I'm asking that question is a lot of times when you have current contracts, since it's already there, there is no opportunity for Section 3. And I'm thinking, if more work is done, are they able to handle it with the Section 3 people that they have? Or can they get more people to get hired?
I'm not sure how to really answer the Section 3 question.
What I'm saying is this basically, it's not the Section 3 so much, is when the requirement contracts come through,
right.
Initially you didn't need board approval, right?
Mm-hmm.
And at that point in time, maybe they did get Section 3 people because they would be able to handle the work at that time. As we move forward, did anything come up to have additional work where they may need more hands on deck?
I mean, we're increasing the contract limits, but
It's not extra work.
I think is there more work being done because of these change orders? That's the question.
Yeah, we're increasing the limit to do additional
Exactly.
work.
So the answer is yes. So it's not just status quo, right? This is an effort to try and address some of the most challenging areas, particularly in painting and in carpentry and in plumbing.
Right.
So yes, more work.
And they're saying that the current people that they have can handle that extra work.
The current contract.
Right.
The current vendor can, yes,
Okay.
yes.
I'm
Answer your
just looking
question?
for
Gotcha.
opportunities for our people to get work. Yeah. That's all I'm asking.
Understood.
Okay.
Is there any?
So when this says projected hires, they all have a zero behind them, is that what this, most recent, the ones you just went through? Yes, okay.
But I think, so the question though is, with these existing contracts, because they were under $1 million, that's why they didn't come to the board.
Right.
That's your question. And then what, if any, Section 3 opportunities exist on contracts under $1 million?
When they're coming forward. Because
Yeah.
like many other contracts, sometimes that we may not have foreseen the entire thing
Sure.
when we initially went in. So now it's not just only a requirement of adding extra funds.
Mhm.
Now there's more work.
Mhm.
And my whole question is,
Is there an opportunity
Is there
for
an
Section
opportunity?
3 hire in that
Exactly.
expansion of the contract?
exactly.
That is a very good question.
Hi,
And we introduce yourself.
Esther Thomas at Hines. I work for the Supply Management Procurement Department, and maybe I can help with some of those questions, board member. When an item is presented to the board originally, there is a Section 3 plan with a number of workers. This is a change order, so we don't do a new plan with a change order. And it would, if the vendor does need more workers to accomplish the work at task, they will document it to us, and we will document the number of workers that were hired. Some change orders may require more workers, some change orders may not. It varies and it depends on the work. But we would capture it if they hired more workers on the Section 3 compliance end of it, when we document who's working, which development they work in, and how it's accounted for.
And so that would be noted on these particular contracts when you go back to get the additional funding.
It would not be noted to you, to the board when it's initially presented.
No, I know that. I'm talking about afterwards. Now the contract is in place. You've reached the time frame or the time for the contract to either be up or the additional funding to supply the current job being done.
And
At that point in time, if it's extra work, will the vendor or the contractor let you know that we are going to hire more people? And if so, will they be Section 3 people or their own?
they document to us who they hire, and if they are NYCHA workers or if they are their own workers, when they submit requests for billing on a monthly basis usually, and then they document to us how many workers, who the workers are, and where they reside, and whether they're NYCHA residents. We verify that with our partners at Reese, and then we document whether or not they are NYCHA workers. So that's how we keep track of the contractors.
Okay.
Looks like we have someone else who wants to
Oh,
take
yeah.
another crack. Introduce yourself.
Jason Goldberg, Chief of Corporate Affairs. Just one point to add. As this is a requirement contract, the volume of work is unknown at the time of award and presumably the time that the change order is being entered into. So it's not really feasible to give an exact projection of hires to come. But as to Esther's point, during the term of the contract when work is requested, there might be more clarity as to the workforce capacities.
Okay.
I hope that helps.
Did that help? Or did
Like,
was that helpful or?
Well, it helps, but still, when they come back, will they come back to us and let us know that there's going to be new hires?
Yes.
Okay.
So I think we answered the question, but I think that there are some other questions that are generated by your question, which is, one is, is there a more affirmative way to say to the contractor, what's the Section 3 plan now that this expansion has happened, as opposed to just waiting for the report, which we do and we are in compliance with, and et cetera. So that, I think that's what I'm hearing you speak to.
Yes.
And so let us take that back and come back to you with to the board with a more fulsome answer.
Thank you.
All right.
Good morning.
Good morning.
My name is Berenice Tavares, and I'll be presenting items 28 through 32.
And your title, Berenice?
Acting Senior Vice President for Support Services for Operations. Authorization is requested to approve a change order to a contract already awarded to ATC Group Services. This is a 2-year contract that is currently providing labor, materials, equipment, insurance, and other incidentals required to perform lead-based paint visual inspections of ATC services in the authority's apartments with known or presumed lead-based paint. This contract increase requested is to address the additional services needed to perform lead-based paint visual inspections of painted surfaces in the authority's public common areas, which have already begun with known or presumed lead-based paint. The amount requested is $1,630,000. Items 29 through 32 is requesting to award 6 requirement contracts for repair, replacement of fire standpipe and sprinkler systems. 4 of the contracts are between the Housing Authority and Crescent Contracting Corporation, and 2 between the Authority and Richards Plumbing and Heating Corporations. These requirement contracts provide repair, replacement of fire and standpipe sprinkler systems of various developments in the Bronx, Brooklyn, and Manhattan. The scope of work includes repairs, replacements, alterations, additions to sprinkler and fire standpipe systems as required to ensure proper operation. The contract had limiting language, therefore we will have to bid out the remaining 2 boroughs separately.
I have a question. So I noticed for these that in each case there was only 1 bidder.
Yes.
And I was wondering if you could comment on that. And not only that, but that it was sort of above the estimate. So I'm wondering if you could comment.
Yes, this is a very specialized field, and most landlords do their own inspections. And many years ago, about 10, 15 years ago, the authority was issued a special, I think it's OH01 certificate of fitness from the fire department, and these to allow us to outsource our inspections of the standpipe systems. And as a result, these are the only 2 vendors, and they know they're the only 2 in town that are certified to conduct this type of work at the authority.
Oh, wow.
So there
were only 2 vendors in the city.
The only 2 that put in. And one of them only put in for the borough of Manhattan, which is plumbing.
Oh, I see. There were only 2 bidders that responded, but you're saying it's a very limited market?
Yes, it's a very limited market. And the markup, they're saying is due to, hold on, I wrote it down over here. Increase in labor, cost of materials, increase in cost based on PLA, and additional staff needed to respond to emergencies.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Thank you.
Good morning. I'm Bob Morano, NYCHA's Chief Information Officer. I will be doing items 35, 36, and 37. Item 35 is requesting authorization to enter into an agreement with Verizon Business Network Services for broadband circuits. These circuits will expand the abilities of our management offices to allow services such as video conferencing, online training, and remote CCTV access. Also, this is the first step to deploying VoIP phones at our management offices to replace the old POTS lines, the old copper lines that we have at these management offices. Therefore, we are requesting to enter into a three-year agreement with Verizon. Item 36 is requesting authorization to enter into an agreement with CompuLink Technologies for the procurement of switches. These switches will replace 7-year-old switches currently in place at 90 Church Street, LIC, and Borough Management Offices. The switches enable users at those sites to connect to NYCHA's internal network. The 7-year-old switches are at the end of life and support. The new switches will allow for greater bandwidth and user speed to meet the authority's growing data needs. Therefore, we're requesting authorization to enter into this 1-year agreement with CompuLink Technologies. Item 37 is requesting authorization to amend an agreement with Microsoft Corporation for Microsoft Premier Support Services. NYCHA will use these services to continue our transition to the cloud. This will give us additional abilities like Skype for Business, which is a cloud-based toll-free conferencing ability, web meetings, and screen sharing. It also gives us the ability to have a cloud-based document repository online that's accessible by smartphones, tablets, and desktops. And it also gives us cloud-based authentication, which allows us to collaborate with all these different features on the cloud. So this means that if 90 Church Street is down or anything happens, we will be able to communicate with each other through email and all these collaboration tools. Any questions? Thank you.
Good morning, members of the board, Madam Chair. Chiquisha White, EVP for Real Estate. For your consideration this morning is item number 38. And it's a request to submit applications to HUD pursuant to Section 18 of the U.S. Housing Act of 1937, so that the authority can enter into a 9-year ground lease at 17 developments located in the Bronx and Brooklyn, collectively known as the project sites or RADs, bundles 1, 2, and 3. The subject Section 18 application will both facilitate the conversion of the project sites from Section 9 public housing annual contribution contracts to Section 8 project-based vouchers and housing assistance payment contracts. These contracts enable the authority to enter into public-private partnership with the selected development teams through the authority's rental assistance demonstration and permanent affordability commitment together PACT initiative. In May 2017, the authority issued an RFP inviting qualified development teams to submit proposals to finance rehabilitation, provide property management, and needed social services to facilitate the conversion of 3 scattered site bundles in the Bronx and Brooklyn pursuant to the RAD PACT initiative. The authority received 27 proposals, all of which were evaluated based upon competitive criteria listed in the RFP, and 3 teams were selected and awarded in January 2018. Bundle 1 includes 648 units in 15 buildings across 6 developments, Twin Parks, Franklin Avenue Conventionals, Hybrids, Rehabs, and the bundle was awarded to Gilbane Development Company, Dante's Partners, Apex Building Group, and the Krause Organization. Bundle 2 currently includes 343 units in 13 buildings across 8 developments, Betances 2, Betances 3, Betances 5, and Betances 6. However, I wanted to bring to your attention that we are awaiting CHAP letters from HUD so that we can potentially expand these bundles to include all units remaining in the Betances cluster. The expansion would include an additional 745 units. RDC was the selected development team here. The developer and property, RDC will be the developer and property manager, and the social service provider here will be Catholic Charities. And last bundle 3, the Brooklyn bundle currently includes 691 units in 31 buildings across 3 developments in Bushwick 2 CDA, and we're also awaiting CHAP letters to potentially expand this bundle to include an additional 624 units. Chosen for this let's see here, I lost my place. Oh, just to go over some of the benefits that will be available to residents. Residents will benefit from the RAD Pact initiative through substantial rehabilitation of units and common areas, upgrades, building envelope systems and ground enhancements, dedicated property management staff assigned to each scattered site development, increased delivery of needed social services. Would note that there will be no displacement. All rehab work will be done with residents in place, of course, except if there is a need to move someone. No rent increases. All residents will continue to pay 30% of their adjusted gross income towards rent, and residents will continue to have rights and protections in line with what is currently provided under the public housing program. So for reasons stated, it's recommended that the members authorize the chair, general manager, and/or respective designees to execute any and all documents deemed necessary to submit the Section 18 applications to HUD. Thank you. Any questions? Yes.
Yeah, could you give us an overview of the timeline? So from getting approval here, what happens, and when are these, so to the end of when these improvements are actually made? What's the high-level overview of the timeline?
So the applications go in, and during this is our pre-development process. It takes HUD, I'm not quite sure how many months, but it'll take 2 months for HUD to approve the applications. And then you want to know the timeline so the residents will see these actual benefits.
Yeah.
So over I think in about 2 years, the residents will be able to see the physical benefits of this program in their units.
HUD requires the rehab to take place within 2 years after closing. So
Okay.
That's sort of.
Right, but it'll be ongoing. So HUD gives approval, then work will start and be sequenced, and
HUD gives
you're saying-
approval. We have to do our financing packages.
Right.
We're putting together all of our pre-development due diligence. Hiring plans are being developed during this time, working in conjunction with our REIS team. And all of that is during that 2-year period.
Mm-hmm. And then the work's actually done.
Yes.
Okay.
But we expect to close on these by the end of this year, I think is the.
Right.
Okay, so
gating
then
issue.
construction
Yes,
start. Okay,
I think
thank
that's
you.
the
Right,
gating
yeah,
question.
Okay.
got it. Thank
Yes.
you.
I just have a general question for my understanding. And maybe I have the wrong section in my head for it. But Section 18, the different facets of Section 18, is it to demolish and reconstruct? Is it to alter or just demolish?
It's to dispose of the properties. So, and
Well, dispose.
enter into the ground lease.
Okay, so dispose, is that a nice word for demolish or?
No, we're not talking about demolish.
Okay. No, I don't want that
Transferring.
to happen, but I'm saying, is demolition part of the Section 18?
Not in this instance, no, definitely. We're not contemplating any demolition here.
No, I know. My question is it part of
Broadly.
Section 18?
Yeah, so Section
Yes.
18 broadly for any housing authority it's the transfer of ownership. So whether that be lease, whether it be demolition, whether it be partnership, whether it be, that is the broad kind of regulatory powers that this act allows housing authorities to do. We have to do a Section 18 application for any change in use of a building. So that's what you'll see a lot of these as we continue to do more RAD applications, et cetera, as we do more development. And so, but in this project, we are not contemplating demolition, but that is something that is what other housing authorities have considered.
I don't want that.
Oh, well,
I don't want to
it's a different
repeat the
discussion.
Chicago, another
It's a different discussion.
city, not
But
in
you
New
asked the
York.
question.
Not in New York.
You asked the question.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Great. Thank you.
Thank
Any
you.
other questions? All right.
Madam Chair, 38 items were presented for board approval. Do I have a motion to approve the items?
Second.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Move.
Second.
Aye.
All in favor?
Hi.
Aye.
Thank you very much, all.
Thank you all. Have a great month, everyone.
Yes.